So changes for round two. One, we are playing under the Aclazatz rule, and two, we're going to play ranked, which doesn't actually mean anything specific really different for us because I'm silver. Okay, Bad Heist number 2 begins. I'm gonna start. I should probably have read the speedrun page, but I'm gonna start it when the first game actually starts, rather than when I first join the queue. The simpler times when all we had in our deck are bats, and the goal is just to draw a bat, and we succeed. I don't know how much you know, chat, about how arena matchmaking works, but playing a bunch of these games where I get slaughtered and I tank my rating is probably going to pay dividends for me somewhere down the line this month. They're going to cut down in response. You got it. That's so unfortunate. We could have taken a Shieldred. Or an Aclazatz. Rebecca was asking in chat, what does copy number 9 of Deep Cavern Bat become? What does copy number 5... Is that the same as asking, like, what if I just pick up a bunch of Aclazatzes from my opponents? Already the card quality from our opponents is obviously significantly higher, given that we had to... No, we milled a bat. We had to start by taking some Phyrexia draft commons from the first couple of games. Now they're going to flip Invasion of Zendikar and turn it into a bat, which is going to reveal that I have all swamps in my hand. Yeah, I think that's right, Niall. In her experience, ranked is easier since you get better cards, but it's also harder because then you're playing against better decks. I felt like it was a matter of time before I ran into a deck that would crumble under the might of a 15-15 in that last run. So even though I was getting crappy cards, I felt like I was probably eventually going to be advantaged because there was no real floor on how bad my opponent's cards were going to be. But we're going to have to beat a real deck at some point here. They take my other bat. Somehow they have more bats than I do. Really unfortunate they had that cut down. 2, 10, 12, 13. Then they play Shieldred, but that's also not enough. Aclazatz doesn't do anything until it attacks, right? So I don't see a win for our opponent right here. I think we get one more draw step. And their hand is obviously juicy. So if they just play Shieldred and pass, then hopefully we can draw a bat and actually catch something from them. They play Aclazatz instead. We do not draw another bat. I mean, getting the bat milled by the first invasion of Amonkhet was just truly brutal. Now, I probably should just reset the timer and just say we ripped that run, but I don't care enough to do that. That's like 2 taps on my phone, which is way more energy than I intend to expend here. That was brutal, and it's unfortunate because it was so close to being so good, right? If they led on Rafine's Tower or something, they would still have cut down the bat. It would not have made any real difference to how the game played out, but I would have had an extra card in my deck. Seems doubtful that this is a bat mirror, given that our opponent is not insta-mulliganing. Also, I feel like the level of engagement, if you're playing bat, is guaranteed to be very high. I don't think that you are playing bat while you're in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A. All right, all right. We're going to get a spell. I'm going to list this as game number 2, though. We are playing against Esper Mentor. I think the only realistic choices are Chart a Course and Get Lost, because we have no synergy for Monastery Mentor or Haughty Djinn. And I don't think we're at the point where Get Lost, or where Make Disappear is, like, close to anything. So I'm just going to take Chart a Course. I think it's more likely that we run it... Okay. Well, this one's just going to get disappeared if I cast it right here, so let's not do that. Unless they Get Lost it at the moment. Which, I mean, I guess that's within their rights. Then they could play a 3-drop, and I'll get to bat something. I could take the Chart a Course again. I kind of like that. There's no way they're just going to fire off a Chart a Course here, is there? I guess if the unknown card in their hand is specifically Helping Hand, then they might do that. Yeah, yeah. Well, them killing this bat worked out pretty nicely for me. Now I'll draw 2 swamps. And we'll find another bat. I mean, the problem is that this Esper Mentor deck is not really flush with cards that I'm hoping to take to improve my bat pile. This also doesn't really look like the Esper version. It seems like they have cut the Halo Forgers, which is a card that I would be more interested in, honestly, than Haughty Djinn or Monastery Mentor. Yeah, Chart is kind of nice early. I agree. And I like that I got 2 copies of it. Anything that kind of decreases the worst aspect of your starting deck, which is its size, is pretty exciting. And so these 2 charts are kind of minus 3 cards each. Surely the opponent could play something and then Make Disappear it to give all of their Haughty Djinns +1/+1, right? That must be better than just sitting here. Though I guess just sitting here is going to win them the game. But it is giving me the opportunity to potentially draw a 3rd bat. Unless their hand is all lands and a Make Disappear, in which case, good beats, I guess. That was enough to beat me. We have not yet fully ranked down to Silver 4. Progress, though. Okay, so now we have to answer the question that we had to answer last run. We're going to put 2 Chart a Course in our deck. How many islands do we add? Whoa, baby. Also, we have to have some respect for the game and put in original Ixalan ones. Let's say at least 20, maybe 20. At this point, where there's still so many basics in our deck, there's not really that much risk of like getting color screwed. That's going to come later when we start putting Bloodletter of Akhlazats in our deck or whatever. Alright, game number 3. We still have, let's say, very little hope of actually closing a game out, but that's okay. We have to assemble the pieces. So this suggests that Arena drew 2 hands of all land. Do I keep just a Chart a Course? I think the answer is no. Do I keep a bat? Obs. Mountain Kumano. Well, we are soon to be Grixis. The best thing that could happen is that we could hit a Forge. Like, they play a 2-drop here, Bloodthirsty Adversary or something, so that we don't have to worry about getting play with Fired in response. Triple Kumano. And they have Forge main deck. If all these things are true, I would be quite happy. And the festivities, play with fire, experimental synthesizer. I mean, a random play with fire is not going to get me very far, so... E. I don't know to spell the cards that I just took. E, S-I-C. Okay. Then they end the festivities, whatever. Then they play with fire in my face, whatever. And they're going to cast the synthesizer. And find a lightning strike. Okay. We do chart, of course. But we couldn't cash it in. I mean, I guess if we draw bat next turn, because I think we get about one more turn this game. We get exactly one more turn this game, since these Kumanos hit for 6 and then 6 more. Uh-oh. Reinforced Ronin. Damn, that is a sweet card. I always kind of wish that this card was playable. Obviously, it's in the same set as Kumano, so it's kind of hard to justify it, but it's a cool one. Okay, so now how many mountains do we devote to this experimental synthesizer that we just picked up? I don't think there's a hard and fast answer here. Let's go down to 30 swamps, 15 islands, and put in... I kind of want just to like half the amount of islands to be red sources. Since I have half as many experimental synthesizers as I have charter courses. Game number 4. We have a bat. We're still in the card acquisition mode. Like, I could see casting the charter courses and stuff. If I wound up taking a random white or green creature, like, there's no universe in which that's going to win us a game. It's possible that that doesn't change our mana base. Do they have the cut down? Come on, man. They do. Now we get to look at some sweet cards, I assume. Galagreator's Gumdrop Poisoner. Okay, not that sweet. I mean, Galagreator's is fine. Gumdrop Poisoner, not the heaviest hitter. Yeah, so it grows when other creatures enter the battlefield. I mean, I guess Galagreator's not actually that good if I only have 4 other creatures in my deck. Making treasure tokens doesn't seem super exciting either. So they seem to care about life gain with the Gumdrop Poisoners and the Galagreators letting them gain life. Haywire Might also a life gain card. I wonder what the payoff is for that. So now we play how fast do we get goldfished? The thing about having Gumdrop Poisoner as their cards in hand, it might lead them to just hold on to them for a long time, since they obviously do have some utility as removal spells, but that will lengthen the clock. They elect to go for the treasure on one of the Galagreators rather than a +1/+1 counter. Okay. And then they hit for 5. So if I draw Charter Course into anything, there's still hope of actually playing a bat next turn. Or I could draw island. I mean, that's what my deck basically is. I see 6 damage. Can they somehow do 13? Restless Cottage is a nice one too. Maybe they just have use for artifacts? Is that what their the Gallic Readers are all about? There could be some Teething Wormlets in there or something. They choose counter every time, but can only do 9. We draw swamp. Womp womp. And once again, don't get a card. I mean, I think I'd take Gumdrop Poisoner if I did have the bat ability resolve, but is that good? I don't feel like it is. That's a pass. It's been a rough start. I agree, Niall. But we have a bat. It can always improve. I mean, I think part of the answer is that I shouldn't jam bat on turn 2 into open black mana, but it's hard to say no to that. Like, if the goal is to hit a 3 or a 4 drop, then there's no need to be so forward. Charming Scoundrel. So once again, we can hope for Urabrask's Forge. That would be the best hit. They make a 3/3 haste and smack me with it. I draw another bat. I like that. So that could open up the possibility of us taking the same card twice. Unfortunately, none of these cards are exciting to take. I guess we'll take Bloodthirsty Adversary since it can flash back Chart a Course. So this is actually game number 5. Unfortunately, they have access to both Lightning Strike and Play with Fire, so I don't have the option. Now they've used the Play with Fire. I was going to say, in theory, could have had the option to block, give them back the Bloodthirsty Adversary, and then use the next bat to take that adversary. That wasn't especially on the table, since they had all these burn spells. But for whatever reason, they decided that they were okay with getting our piddly 1/1 out of the way, and that choice has opened up the possibility for us to take Bloodthirsty Adversary again. We are Grixis Phoenix now. That's about right. Bat off the top for a 3rd Bloodthirsty Adversary would have been pretty cool. Now we just need something to actually cast with these adversaries, though the 2 Chart a Course aren't the worst. Let's find some chunky spell. Ooh, I actually have 4 of them? I thought for sure I was going to have to spend wild cards here. I don't want to go below 25 swamps. I guess it should have been more more mountains and islands. Not too late. Because the Bloodthirsty Adversary is effectively a double black spell. Sorry, a double red spell. Oh, the best thing about Ranked is that you can hit cards like Carnosaur, which is actually 5th bat. That is true. I wonder if I found Carnosaur, how I would change my deck, because right now all of this is all of my cards cost so few, but I could like just spend a couple of games without any of the charter courses and stuff in order to maximize Carnosaur. Now, I'm pretty sure my opponent is playing mono white, in which case I don't think that there's going to be anything that I want to take. But obviously, if we're going to take something, it's going to be Virtue of Loyalty. They probably play Thalia, and I'm going to get to take their Intrepid Adversary. Sorry, Intrepid... No, that's right, Intrepid Adversary. Ooh, Adeline. Damn, there's another card that just wins the game by itself and synergizes with Bat really well. That's really close. I like the fact that Adversary is just something I could sink a lot of mana into. Oh, block with Bat to get Virtue again was the correct play. I should have done that. I kind of like Adeline. Let's do that. We'll add Adeline's epithet in a minute. Resplendent Cathar. Alright, we'll just need Bat 3. So that we can make the Virtue play. Oh. You can make my swamp cost 2 more. Whatever. Rebecca, the Charter Courses and the Bloodthirsty Adversaries, I got 2 copies of both because I took a copy and then they killed the bat and then the second bat took the same copy. So that, as long as different bats are getting it, then yeah, you can get multiple copies of the same card that way. So they're going to play Adversary and Pump, and then we're going to have to try to figure out, am I just straight up dead? So this is 11 coming in. They have a Mishra's Foundry as well. I think we're going to just take the line of block, and if we draw bat literally next turn, or a way to get bat next turn, then great, and otherwise we'll just scoop. Yeah, that's fine. Ooh. Someone stole a ninjutsu creature and then bounced bat to get multiple bat activations. I had the ability to do that in my first deck. The second card I took was a ninja, but it didn't come up in 20 games or whatever, unfortunately. The one game where it could have came up was that last game where I won. Oh, no, it was retracted. It was in the bat mirror where it didn't especially matter, but I just won with the 15-15 anyway. So I didn't have to get fancy with the Nezumi Prowler. Alright, so Virtue of Loyalty and Adeline. Give me this version of Adeline. Do I want to have 4 colors in my deck? I think the answer is sure. It is awkward that these are double white, but what can you do? I just really do not want to have a hand with bat and no swamp. That would be pretty unfortunate. But okay, we'll try it like this. I mean, this is exactly what I signed up for, right? But that's okay. That's okay. We just want to get the bat out. I would not mind drawing planes into planes, though. They play tapped Shattered Sanctum. This could be like Esper Rafine or something. It is Esper Rafine. That's interesting. So, Fairy Mastermind is arguably the stronger card for the situation that we have right now, in that it can draw us a bunch of cards. So, it has more utility. Virtue of Loyalty is the stronger, just individual card, like in a vacuum. And then there's also Wedding Announcement, which is not quite as strong as Virtue, but also can sometimes win a game by itself. I'm leaning Wedding Announcement, I'll be honest. Virtue is super tempting, but getting the double white, half of it out, is going to be challenging. Let's take Wedding Announcement. We do have one Virtue. Virtues obviously improve in multiples, just like Wedding Announcements improve in multiples. Yeah, I mean, even the Rafine would make a lot of sense. It synergizes with Bat really well, and it would help me run through the deck. I think if I take Rafine, then I have to let all the red cards go, though. At that point, I should probably consolidate into fewer colors. I mean, possibly as we sit here with Adeline stuck in our hand, we should probably consolidate away from the red cards anyway. I don't think it's time yet to make the gambit of block and hope to snag the same Wedding Announcement. We're close, though. I mean, the chances that we don't get a banger out of their hand is pretty low. Adeline seems like it would synergize with the cards that they have. It's true. The opponent having access to Adeline seems pretty strong. I talked about how I felt like there could be a version of this in 2002 with Tide Hollowsculler. Sorry, in 2002 with Mesmeric Fiend, or like in 2010 with Tide Hollowsculler. I think it would have been interesting to do this in 2017 with Hostage Taker. You start with 4 Hostage Takers. Anything you take hostage, you then have access to. The problem is obviously that you can only take creatures that way. I've been trying to come up with ways to do this in paper. It sounds so fun. I don't know exactly what it would entail, though. Like, I bet you could do it at a big enough place like Chicago. It might be challenging to have enough, like, diversity of cards at a random F&M. We are going to start to pivot away from red, I think. I'm going to put the Bloodthirsty Adversaries and the Experimental Synthesizer in the sideboard. I want to give myself a better chance of having double white. Though I do really like the idea of you showing up with this deck that's actually 56 swamps, but then you have this giant long box of every card in Standard. Yeah, the dual face token replacement things, right? Or like, I've seen the ones that are kind of like dry erase tokens. You could have basic lands or whatever proxy cards that you want that just have numbers on them that you put in your deck. I can't keep just an Adeline. I can keep just a Bat, though. And so then card number 1, card number 2, and so on would correspond to whatever is on the whatever's on the dry erase ones. So you would only have to put numbered sleeved cards in your deck, and you wouldn't have to worry about having all the proxies that way. Interesting choices. So I could finally take that Intrepid Adversary that got away last time. I could take another Adeline. Steel Seraph doesn't sound bad either as a colorless card that's also just a big stupid flyer. I don't have any interest in Thalia. I don't have any interest in Knight Errant of Eos. I don't think those two cards are individually strong enough, given what's going on around us. I think I'm going to take the Seraph, but I could see taking Adversary. I could see taking Adeline. I mean, the fact that I'm playing more whites means that having a card that's effectively white-white or white-white-white in my deck isn't like that bad. I don't know. Whatever. I don't feel like any choice is that wrong, in the same way that I don't think any choice is especially correct. I also want to attack with my bats, like on a short-term thing. Speaking about legacy hits, one thing that is intriguing about legacy is that there are strong lands. I hadn't thought too hard. I suggested that I was going to try like the Virus Beetle challenge on some future stream, where instead of using bats, I was going to use like Virus Beetle or one of these 2-drop things that makes your opponent discard, and I was going to just take whatever they discarded. Has the advantage of never getting blown out by cut down, which I'm already kind of frustrated with since it happened twice in the first 4 games this run. But it is true that it would lead to a lot of blanks. You would have this problem less in a situation where you're at a con and even if they discard a land, then like now you have access to fetches or duels or whatever. I don't think I'm going to win with just a Virtue of Loyalty. I think we still just have to be on the bat plan for now. We're only 30 minutes in. This is game number... Oh, I didn't put Steel Seraph in my deck. Oops. Alright, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Also, I'm not really excited to take any of my opponent's cards anyway, since I moved off of red. So I'll give myself a better sideboard. Wow. Immolation. I'm going to get got. Alright, give me the Kenra spell Spear. I mean, you get to have, if you wanted it, Niall, you would get to have the arena equivalent of like having to spend wild cards if you had to like then go to vendors and get the cards. No, I think that could be interesting too if you had like some people who were there and playing real decks in quotation marks. Those real decks could even be like commander decks or whatever. Like I don't think it necessarily would have to be standard ones. And then there was like this card acquisition phase, and then there were opportunities to play afterwards with the bad decks. Well, we're dead. I'm not the most excited about putting this card in my deck. It appears to just be a 2/2. We've been very good at taking 1 in a red 2/2s, haven't we? I do not think the outcome of that game would have been affected by me remembering to put Steel Seraph in my deck, so I'm not super upset. Kenra Spell Spear. Welcome to the sideboard. I mean, I think it's not close that my 4 white cards are way better than my 5 red cards. Possibly the Chart of Courses will go at some point. I haven't drawn or cast one yet. On the other hand, the Bloodthirsty Adversaries do literal 0 without the Chart of Courses, so I don't know. It hasn't been the best run of opponents. I got cut down in game 4, which was unfortunate, but there wasn't even a card that I was interested in taking then. I wasn't putting Galligrators in my deck. The Bat Heist meta is a twisted reflection of the BO1 meta. I think that's right. I mean, and it's like especially twisted since like there are some cards that make sense as the glue in some decks, but like you can't take Knight Errant of Eos or whatever. It's just not close to working. All right, playing against soldiers. They could have a wedding announcement. That would probably be the best hit. Thalia, Extraction Specialist, Intrepid Adversary. I mean, Intrepid Adversary is still good. I'm still interested in that card, but wow, I can't not take Extraction Specialist, right? Now I can block with the bat and get it back. That's awesome. This bat's getting ossified so hard. I mean, having said that, Niall, now I'm kind of interested in seeing what it would be like to play best of 3. You would probably have to be pretty quick on the scoop trigger game 1, because I think if people knew that, I don't know, people like their free wins. If you're playing ranked best of 3, it's not like they're going to nope out of the match or whatever. Whereas like in the play queue, people can just walk away from you for any reason. Yeah, see, this is why I want Intrepid Adversary. This could be me. I could have two bats if I drew 3 spells in the top 10 cards. Oh, you were saying bat number 5. Could I interest you in bat number 6? I also, incidentally, if you've been paying attention, have been atrocious at drawing white. I've drawn so many of my few islands and so few of my multitudinous planes. We're going to have to change that up now that we're adding 2 extraction specialists to our deck. This is going to change how I play as well. Now there's much more interest in chump blocking, whereas before it was like, whatever. I'll chump block if it buys me an extra turn. Which I guess in this case it would have. Damn. We didn't quite get there. Oh, and seeing 1 extra card. It does bring me joy. Like, I'm having fun playing this. I'm sure most people who are doing this are enjoying themselves, but just thinking that all of that joy is somehow amplified in Niall getting to just like have this explosion of content of people doing this. It's that warms my heart. All right, Extraction Specialist X2, get in there. We're gonna shave Island for swamp. Or sorry, Island for plains and cut 2 swamps. I wonder how many Extraction Specialists were even in my opponent's deck. It's possible that was like, because you see it sometimes in standard in mono white lists as like a flex spot. There's a couple of 3s, but for the most part, the soldiers lists are lower to the ground. That could have been the only one, and I just got it twice. I could have taken more Extraction Specialists than they actually registered. I need the bat. Extraction Specialist doesn't do anything without the bat. I'm not the most excited at this point to keep a 1 spell hand, but I'm not going to mulligan a bat. Just make sure we get a card out of it if we can help it. Definitely the next time I try this straight up, we're going to be much choosier about when we actually deploy the bats. I've been just firing them off turn 2 willy-nilly, but I don't think that's optimal necessarily. As we've seen, as I've gotten blown out multiple times. Mountain. Yeah, like here I'm not going to play into Play with Fire. Not that it especially matters because I'm not really interested in taking any red cards. That is saucy. Now, can there be, if there's a Forge, I'm going to be so excited. Reckless Impulse, Kessig Flame Breather, Furnace Punisher, also known as 2R33 Menace, and Stoke the Flames. Now that's a nice one. None of these are exciting. I guess I'll take Furnace Punisher, but at some point I'll just have a complete mono red deck in my sideboard. You would think that the Reckless Impulses might suggest that they're playing like Pia or something, but it doesn't seem like they are. I think those are just prowess triggers. And I guess that's the reason why Flame Breather is in the deck as well. I need the bat to die, but I don't want it dead until I'm sure I'm going to be able to get something with it. They flip over. Oh, okay, it all makes sense now. So they're playing Ojaraxanil, and they have a bunch of pings with the Kessig Flame Breathers and the Kumano and stuff. So they actually have a pretty synergistic hand right now, like the cards that they have access to. Alright, I don't care about Furnace Punisher. I probably should have just taken Stoke the Flames, and I will take Stoke the Flames with the second iteration of this bat. They didn't cast Kumano. I guess that makes sense because they're going to cast Kumano after they cast Odraxel. Okay, but I think our interest in playing out this game is declining rapidly since we're not going to put many red cards in our deck. I'll let them get their fun, though. Jeez, this is sick. Deal 4 to me this way. Deal 4 to me this way. So whenever a red source would deal non-combat damage that's less than 4, then it's upgraded to 4. Sure, I'll go above 9 life, but it doesn't especially matter. I am kind of just dead to them playing Reckless Impulse since it's going to cost 2 pings. Well, opponent's deck looks good when it draws a card that it is all built around. I've played against that deck before where they did not find the Red God, and then many of the card choices are quite questionable. But that also makes sense of why the Furnace Punisher is there. That's another way to get red pings. Whoop, I want this one. Alright, we now have a 7-card mono red deck sideboard. I think I'm going to need about 25 mono red cards before I was interested in playing mono red. Maybe even more than that. One thing I did like about the best of one unranked queue is that there is slightly less of a kind of matchup lottery feel to it, whereas like now I'm kind of so deep in taking Esper opponents cards that I'm like priced into finding Esper opponents, and if I find mono red opponents, they don't help me very much. Ooh, black-green, huh? I would like for them not to bat me. Ooh, brutal. Maybe they'll take the Virtue as the stronger card. They have a Restless Cottage in their deck, so this is not a bat mirror, incidentally. Alright, well, I'm not casting Ardenvale Fealty. Once again, I don't have the double white. But drawing a Plains is, like, really bad. I would much rather draw any spell than Plains. Yep. Well, there's the plains. Not that it's going to do me much good. It's going to take 3 turns for this knight token to tussle with Sheldred. I mean, they should probably just fire up Restless Cottage and attack if they know what's going on over here. What? The opponent not want to play into Wandering Emperor or something? I'm very surprised that they didn't send more. I mean, I didn't have Wandering Emperor mana up. You know, I just figured something out. There was... I mean, I guess I block and take one more turn. They tap themselves out to play the Restless Cottage. Nah, but we bricked. I played against a very, very, very confusing deck the last time I streamed, which was like January 4th or something. It was approximately 3.5, 4 weeks ago. And the very strange deck that I played against seemed like it was Esper Rafine, but its mana base was like 50 basic swamps. That might be a slight exaggeration. It was many, many basic swamps. But I played against that deck in a best of 3 queue. It was a constructed event. It was a standard best of 3 event. Is there any chance that I was actually playing against a bad Heist deck? Truly odd if I was. So how do I feel about Chart a Course into Wedding Announcement? That's like a legit curve out. Nah, I should probably be mulliganing for bats. Well, this is less exciting when I can't cast a Chart a Course. Well, I was complaining about not having double white, right? Extraction Specialist. Alright, we get to keep 2 cards. We're going to keep Island and Chart a Course. Sometimes you don't see the bats. No, that was nice. That was very nice. Sure. Alright, find me a bat. Virtue of Loyalty Plains, you say. At least that will buy me time. So game 12 was against the black-green deck where my bat got batted and I did not have the opportunity to take any cards. This is game 13 where I mulled to Oblivion. So the next one is going to be game 14 if we're keeping track on the list over here. Adeline. Ugh. Well, this isn't about how much life my opponent winds up at. This is just about whether or not I live long enough to draw a bat. Right now, the prospects are slim. But, oh, update, never mind. Ooh, a piece of candy. Now I can block with impunity here because they can't cast another Adeline. It's definitely just going to be stuck in their hand. So I don't have to worry about them vacating the card that they've drawn. I mean, something is going to get hit by Elspeth Smite here. I don't especially care what. I mean, that's fine. Oh, that's actually not fine. I changed my mind, because that means that, blocking that way, which forced them to use Elspeth Smite, exiled the bat. So that was, like, not a good decision. I should have thrown the bat under Adeline. That would have done more to preserve my outs, because then I could have found Extraction Specialist. They wouldn't Elspeth Smite to kill something that was just going under the bus. So that was a bad block on my part. I mean, it obviously didn't ultimately matter, but at some point it's going to make the difference between winning and losing. Like, you're going to have to play good enough to win one of these games where your deck is a lot of garbage. Yep. Somehow we're drawing these like hands that make sense as game number 2 opening hands, and it's game number 14. Venerated Rot Priest. Okay, so there is a card that I hope we find, and that card is named Skrelv's Hive. Skrelv's Hive. Skrelv's Hive. Oh, we missed. Well, none of these other cards matter. I mean, I guess I take Jawbone Duelist. Oh, Fading Hope is good. Never mind. Fading Hope is really, really good. Because Fading Hope lets me bounce my own bat. Right, that doesn't say owner, return target creature and opponent controls. I think that's all that's going to come out of this game. I feel like if I draw another bat, it's not going to have a target. We're going to have to just take this charge of the mites unless they just fire it off here for no apparent reason. I mean, firing it off for 2 tokens is probably pretty strong. They're close to killing me. But I can't imagine us finding another card in their deck that I'm interested in. Like, March of Swirling Mist doesn't do anything. I just don't see what's going to come. Skrelv's Hive is the only card that I feel like actually could, in theory, get us closer to winning a game. Skrelv's Hive also very nice with Adeline. But we bricked. Somehow I only now just put together that there are lines with this Toxic deck where you, ooh, piece of candy. Where you block. Sorry. I'm thinking about blocking because I drew this Extraction Specialist. Where you, take the first strike damage from Jawbone Duelist, that corrupts the opponent, and then you get to use the Seed Core. That's kind of cute. I love when you do things between first strike and regular damage. So we're on 4 poison. Everything can attack this turn. Annex Sentry. Oh no. Disaster. I was going to block the Rot Priest. Well, now there's little hope for getting extra card out of this. Wedding announcement, thanks, but no thanks. Brutal. Annex Sentry. Come on, why couldn't it have just been another charge of the mites? Oh, they could have Fading Hope their own Rot Priest. I don't know why they didn't just main phase that. Like, what can I do about it once it's on the stack? I guess we'll go up to 9 islands now that we have this Fading Hope. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards that we've taken that we're using right now in our Esper deck, plus 4 bats. There's still 46 lands. Oh my god, are we finally going to cast a Charter Course? Double black doesn't help us, but double white does. It is more toxic. So again, we hope for Skrelv's Hive, which forces us to cast Bat immediately. We again brick. I mean, I guess the interest now is in keeping the game going a little bit longer. So I'll take Jawbone Duelist. They cast the other Jawbone Duelist, I assume. I'm not going to block and give them a token when I don't have an Extraction Specialist. Yeah, so that suggests that they did not draw a Hive. Unfortunately, at this point, if they draw a Hive, they're just going to cast it. So I don't know that I get anything out of waiting. So we'll just fire off the other bat here. We have found Royal Treatment. Unlikely to put that one in our deck. Cavern of Souls on Phyrexian. Yeah, it's this weird thing where like they're trying to do something that's not on the same axis as the other decks, but I'm also basically completely uninterested in stopping them from doing it. Another Charter Course. Okay, so let's lead on first Charter Course this way. I mean, honestly, the opponent's hand was not the most powerful. Like, imagine if I had found Wedding Announcement and Virtue, or an Adeline or something. Like, I think there was a chance that we could have been competitive this game. I don't think that we got our legs under us fast enough here, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna block. I don't think double blocking to clear the Jawbone Duelist accomplishes much, but I also don't think blocking to clear both of these things does anything either, so I guess I talked myself into it. Feel like a Tyvar stand. +2/+2 until end of turn. If it has toxic, draw a card. Okay. You got me. Cast Extraction Specialist. Remember, the bat that comes back can't attack or block. But I do get a bat, so we're actually going to get 3 cards from them this game. And we can plan to block the Jawbone Duelist with Ardenvale Fealty. They're just going to fire off Royal Treatment in order to avoid losing it. So I'll take another Jawbone Duelist. I mean, the fact that it's a 2/2 is not particularly relevant. Flensing Raptor is certainly going to win the game for them. You got it. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Whatever. Go to 9. I can see the last card in their hand. It's not something I care about, so I think we just concede. So we have access to 2 Jawbone Duelists, which I think we just have to take because it does improve our Wedding Announcements, Adelines, that kind of thing. Not the 2-drop that we were hoping for. Like, obviously we would rather play Thalias or something that like makes more sense in a white aggro deck, but that is the 2-drop that we get. Okay, apparently I can go about 15 games before I need to run to the bathroom. It's been 15 games. I'm going to run to the bathroom. So I will be right back. We will get our win. It's coming. I think we're actually maybe making a bit of progress. We're down to 42 lands, so I mean that has to be closer than... It's about where we were in the last run. Obviously the opponent's cards are better, but we haven't really strung together a game where we had a lot of non-land cards yet. So when that happens, I'm optimistic. Okay, thanks for the pause there. Let us continue working towards our victory. So this will be game number 16. Unfortunately, played against Toxic twice and Mono Red 3 times, which has not been the best for making progress. This hand is awesome, though. Cut down me if you dare. Oh, and we get to play against Restless Anchorage? Let's go. Memory Deluge, Get Lost, Wendy. Yeah, I'm taking Wendy. If you have not joined me on this stream before, I call the Wandering Emperor Wendy. And it's just her name in my head. It's like Wandering Emperor when, I don't know. It somehow made sense at one point to me. Now, please get Lost the Bat to not take 1 damage. Damn. Alright, Jawbone Duelist, you're up. Why is... I guess it makes sense that Jawbone Duelist is not an artifact. I would have guessed that Jawbone Duelist was an artifact creature. The problem is now, I'm like almost at the point where if Bat dies, it's going to get exiled. We're not... You're going to get Lost the Jawbone Duelist and not the Bat? Why? Let's draw 2 lands. I mean, I could Extraction Specialist back the Jawbone Duelist, but what does that accomplish? Then I can't attack or block with the Jawbone Duelist. Like, it doesn't do anything. Alright, we drawn an island. That's not the worst thing that could have happened. They're going to Memory Deluge. Man, I would love for them to actually kill this bat. I'm actually, I mean, happy to attack with it into Restless Anchorage. Deluge again, sure. The problem is that, like, most of the blue cards in my opponent's deck I'm not interested in, but they have a few white cards, and those white cards are super valuable to me. I'm very happy that I got one of them. Jace the Perfected Mind. Actually, if they start milling me, then they're going to minus... Or they're going to shut off the bat. That's unfortunate. I would love for them to mill me. That would increase the odds that Extraction Specialist does something. Boo! Sunset Revelry. You got it. I mean, attacking is, like, pretty bad. Because A, blocking is good, and B, I do not want to get hit by the Wandering Emperor here. At the same time, I kind of want to just flutter around Jace's face. Bastard. How dare you give my bat -3/-0. And A plus again. Yes. Snap block. Chances that this Extraction Specialist lands, low, I admit, but the deck isn't producing bats for me. I gotta take some chance at getting this thing out of here. At least if they escalate or casualty a make disappear, it's not gonna work. They would have to have a hard counter spell. That one. They could play the Wandering Emperor here to avoid me taking it. Maybe they just want a Memory Deluge and they don't care. They do just want a Memory Deluge and they don't care. Yeah, I mean, Depopulate is fine. Farewell is fine. I want another Wandering Emperor. Surprising how in the ranked queue we've had so much more success having multiple bats in one game. They can mill me for 21 if they want, whatever. The thing is that I also know that what's going on in my opponent's hand is not useful to me. So I'm like debating just conceding. if I cast Bat, what am I taking? Negate? I guess I would take Farewell. But I don't think Farewell is, like, particularly exciting. Get in there, Jawbone Duelist. I do think that we have completely foiled their Farewell and Depopulate, because there is no way that they should be casting either of those this game. Also, we have learned that all of the Bat players are in the unranked queue. I mean, it doesn't actually prolong the game one way or the other here. I don't know that it makes a difference whether I block, but I'm obviously never going to attack them. Like, we're not winning this game. Chart, of course, probably about my best draw. Terrassian Mindbreaker. Terrassian Mindbreaker enters the chat. So I'm literally dead next turn. They're going to be able to take half my library and then jace me out. So let us go. I want to get these Wandering Emperors in my deck. I do not think I am beholden to use the card style that my opponent used. If so, I'm using the wrong Adelins. But that would have been potentially cooler if I had paid more attention. I think one of the Adelins was regular and one of them was like extended art. But I'm obviously using this one if I can. I have to get two lands out of my deck. So I guess it is a swamp. Maybe 2 swamps. At this point, Bat is still my only black card. Very different trajectory than what we had going on in the previous run, where we started with a bunch of black cards before things kind of spiraled out from there. But I basically never had the option to take a black card, because both times I played against a black deck, they've had the cut down. Sure. More black-green. Oh. Update. Let's see what's going on. Sheldred's Edict, Graveyard Trespasser, Geological Appraiser. Yeah, I think it's Sheldred, not close. Honestly, killing my bat is like kind of good for me. Because any bat that I draw off the top is live, and now also the extraction specialists are live. Not drawing anything and getting massacred by Graveyard Trespasser is unfortunate, though. You think they saw this Ardenvale fealty coming? It looks like the answer is no, they did not. They're going to play Appraiser first. And hit with fire. Well, you have built your own Bone Crusher Giant. Can they resist casting it? Oh, they can. Such restraint. I mean, I'm guessing they'll play Sheldred before Trespasser. I could be wrong. Sheldred is the one that you would least like to put into a sweeper, and the Graveyard Trespasser is kind of whenever, so I guess it makes sense for them to do this. But it is unfortunate. Wendy. Okay. I think we're going to have to slice the Trespasser. Obviously, it has ward, but we don't give a shit about that. It's unfortunate not to be able to slice the, Sheldred. But what can you do? I mean, I guess... Oh, they have play with fire. I was going to say, we could make a samurai and then untap and slice the graveyard trespasser, but it's not going to work out. Because they will kill the Wandering Emperor with play with fire. Right now. Alright, so we go to 16, then we go to 15 off of the questing druid being exiled, and then we go to 12. And then they play the Apocalypse. And our bats are no longer live because they have no hand, so I'm going to concede. But we got a good one. You cannot say that we didn't get a good one. Slowly building like a reasonable standard deck here. As long as you're okay with playing with Jawbone Duelists as your beatdown plan. I've been slowly working my way down on swamps, but this obviously is going to make me reconsider. I'll take a plains out to put Sheldred in. The second island still accomplishes nothing, but now the second swamp is relevant. And we do really want to wind up with double white. It's possible that means that I should actually go even lower on islands. The mana bases are tricky. I wouldn't say that I'm even within 3 or 4 of the correct number sometimes. What do you think? Is this a hand where we can actually try to win a game? The Extraction Specialist does very little, but Wedding Announcement into Sheldred is a pretty impressive start. Obviously, we can't beat Interaction, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to beat Interaction. Like, we just don't have the card quantity to withstand being 1-for-1. I'm going to keep. I think if you don't have some games where you test your strength and you just are always focused on card acquisition, then it's going to take you longer than if you try to win a game where you might actually have the material to be competitive. I do not like that we're playing against Black Queen, though. That's not good. Because A, they have bats, B, they have Glissa. I guess I don't really care about Liliana the Veil when I have Wedding Announcement, but yeah. I mean, I should probably take the Wedding Announcement. We actually don't have any removal short of our Fading Hope at the moment. We've had a couple of opportunities to take some, but I think we focused on taking permanents. Well, now a bat off the top would be great. Map the Sentinel, okay. Sure. So, we are definitely running low on time to find a bat, just in terms of, like, having any hope of, actually tagging a card that's useful to us. Like, if we wind up with a, Blossoming Tortoise or something, right? Like, it just doesn't do anything in our deck. We don't have any way to take advantage of it. We can't take Sentinel of the Nameless City. Like, there's a bunch of cards that we have no interest in. We really just want to wind up with whatever of the few black cards are in their deck. Like, they might have Breacher of the Schism. That would be awesome. Gonna slice the bat and try to get this Wedding Announcement running. But their deck is probably more than 50% blanks, and I'm afraid that they're going to play out the cards that are not blanks before they play out the ones that are. Mossy. Cast Mossy. So that's going to flip the Celestis again. Bat? Has anyone considered drawing a bat? Aw, man. So do I play Shieldred or do I play Wedding Announcement? I think I play Wedding Announcement because I can't believe that they don't have a removal spell. In which case, casting a Shieldred that just dies in their upkeep is useless. Also, the Wedding Announcement threatens to keep me alive for longer, which is relevant to potentially drawing a bat. So, like, I'm going to block Sentinel with my tokens. It's clear now that we're not winning this game. But let's try to give ourselves some outs going forward to improve our deck. They put Sheldred on top. I mean, I'm obviously running out of time. I don't see what playing this Extraction Specialist accomplishes, though. There was the go for the throat that I thought they had for the Shieldred. And if we were actually speedrunning, then I probably would have conceded a little bit ago, but I'm still interested in trying to find another card, if I can help it, this game. They're going to just cast Shieldred, and I'm going to hopefully be able to sneak in. Like, they're going to use the map. That's what they've been doing the last couple of turns. But I was hoping that we could find one more bat. One measly bat. Our first bat. Alright, that was game 18. Black-green has been brutal for us. I think every time we played against it, we've gotten 0 cards. Once we had our bat cut down, and twice we had our bat batted. It was probably a greedy keep, let's be honest. I mean, the fact that our deck is built around casting bats means that likely the game that we win, whenever it happens, will start with us batting them. This hand's a maul. Can't cast either Wandering Emperor or Chart of Course at the moment, and I would rather find a bat. Awkward not to be able to cast the Adeline, but let's take our win where we get it. Opponents on mono red. Womp womp. Ooh, we drew a Shieldred. Shieldred can individually win a game against mono red. Feldon. I mean, you can't say they haven't put us under a lot of pressure. You also can't say we didn't just draw a bunch of things that gain us life. Lightning Bolt, Squee, Bloodthirsty Adversary. Well, for a variety of reasons, Squee needs to get off the battlefield. Then we can Extraction Specialist back this bat, which will then again take the Squee. Awkward if my opponent has to use this Lightning Strike not on the on the bat, not on the Extraction Specialist. They're going to actually take the specialist. Okay. They can't block. Like, that would be a good reason for them to approach the game as to remove the 3-2, because the 3-2 with lifelink is kind of problematic. The other thing that's kind of problematic when they have no cards left in hand is the Apocalypse. This is going to threaten to give me a bunch of life. They've drawn Monastery, Swissbeer. Can they attack? I guess they can send Felden. This happens once. I get to play Adeline, and that really shuts off attacks with their 2/2s. So at the moment, I'm slowly losing life because I'm gaining 2 from my Shielder trigger, and I'm losing 3 here. So I go from 9 to 6, back up to 8 to 5, and so on. But they're going to have to find something to do very quickly. I guess the bat is actually gaining me the 3rd point of life to keep us even. But Adeline is going to rock their world. The fact that Felden and Phoenix Chick both cannot block, quite unfortunate for my opponent. That, I think, means that we're going to win. We did it! Bat into Shieldred, good enough to beat Mono Red. Stop the clock at 1 hour 22. That felt good. Steel Seraph was like, oh, you're absolutely right that I do actually have a second squee. I have to take a picture of my final build, so we'll get that in into the sideboard. Steel Seraph is like, dude, put me in, coach. I've been in the deck since game 8. And you've never drawn me or put me on the stack. And it showed up the turn that everything was done. Join the stream right in time for the W. Where have you been? You could have gotten me the W several games ago, probably. It is funny that, not surprising. Ultimately, I wonder how many of these runs end with Shieldred facing down Mono Red or something along those lines, because I feel like those are the games that you can actually win with very few actual pieces of cardboard. Let's put Steel Seraph down here as a 3 so that we can fit the deck in. I think it would have taken us a lot longer for us to beat, let's say, Esper Rafine or something. Like, we were making some progress, but not that much progress, let's be honest. It would have taken drawing an absurd amount of our non-land cards to be able to keep up with what a regular deck draws in the course of a normal game. Whew! GG's. So, this will not be the end of me playing Bat Heist and its variants. I am curious to jump in the best of 3 queue at some point and see what happens. We are not doing that today, though, but at some point we will do it. I also am curious to try Virus Beetles instead. So it has to make it harder on a variety of axes because, A, your opponent can discard a land, and then that's it. You don't actually get a card out of that Virus Beetle. You can't get cut down, so like there's some benefit. But they also have the choice, right? You're not out there taking the best card. You only are going to get what they give you. And I think that would make it more satisfying to me if we actually got a win that way. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I mean, over time it should, right? Extraction Specialist was freaking MVP. It is fun to pass on cards to others. In the run that I just did, it was in the ranked queue, and I actually did not run across a single mirror in the 19 games that I played. The previous run to this, we played 16 games, and 5 of them were bat mirrors. And so I gave someone an Aclazotz, That was pretty nice. I hope they used it to good effect.